Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and it's time to talk Alita Battle Angel. I really enjoyed this film. This film surprised me in ways I didn't expect it to. It was just visually stunning. I thought it was a really cool story, really cool characters, awesome world building, and as I've talked to fans of the manga, a really faithful adaptation that just is very rare with anime manga adaptations. So this movie was fantastic, and it's slowly built up the Alita Army, as they're called, and fans out there who are dying to see the other two sequels that were initially planned by Cameron and Rodriguez. And now the producer, Jon Landau, has come forward sort of explaining a little bit as to how that might be able to happen. It's a long shot, let's be clear. It's clearly a long shot, but I think, you know, in this age of streaming, clearly that's where things could continue. So let's check this out. I mean, before we even get to that article, I do want to sort of point out that fans have been trying to do this for a while. There's already a change.org petition. It has 121,000. They want 150. Look, that's not enough. There needs to be way more than that, clearly, for this to sort of succeed. So go check it out and sign it up. I mean, those don't necessarily change things, but that sort of just give you a sense of sort of fan outcome. It's not a ton, but the fandom out there is definitely larger than this petition alludes. And here's the interview with Cinema Blend, where they actually did get sort of this sequel across. Jon Landau produced the film with James Cameron, and talked about how fans can get it to happen. What I think the Alita Army should do is keep peppering our family now at Disney and let them know how important it is to have another Alita movie, and hopefully we'll venture there one day. Now, there's more that he'll allude to, but it's important that we sort of share that. This obviously came out right as the merge between Fox and Disney happened, which is, for those that don't remember, that's really what delayed a lot of things. But this movie was so deep in production by James Cameron, who is now sort of going to join the Disney family, who they need to impress and they want to keep him successful and happy because he's James Cameron. He's got Avatar on deck, which they're banking a lot of money on as a sort of a new family franchise. And he's the man who's made Titanic and countless other franchises. So he's in your roster at Disney. You want to make sure you keep James Cameron happy. And you do that potentially by allowing Alita to maybe go to Disney Plus. Could it? Is it too PG-13 for Disney Plus? I don't know. It's as extreme as any Marvel movie. Why couldn't Alita become sort of a Disney Plus series to sort of extend out what they've already done? Let Robert Rodriguez have it. It would be a no-brainer. And I think they have the streaming, make this a big franchise piece. Maybe you do a little companion series and then a big sequel, and maybe Cameron comes back to do later after Avatar. That's clearly where Landau is implying. I think when you talk about any movie, I won't talk specifically about Alita, because he's clearly not trying to spread any wildfire here, but you first step is writing a script. You've got to assume that's going to take you 12 to 18 months, 12 to 18 months to write a script. Assuming that script is great, you then have 6 to 10 month pre-production. You then have a 6-month shoot, then you have a year of post-production, and that's just any movie of this ilk. And then so sort of they explain sort of that takes so much time, but are there more stories to tell in the Alita universe? Absolutely. When Jim Cameron was going to direct us, which is crazy, that would have been so cool if he had directed it. God, stupid avatars. Let's be positive. Sorry, I'll try to be positive about it. Which at one point in his mind, he had plotted out 2 additional stories where we would go very specifically. And then sort of ask, well, where could it go? Could it go to streaming? And Battle Angel 2, could it go there? Well, I won't speak specifically about Alita, clearly because he knows there's no plans yet. I would just tell you that I think Jim Cameron and I love the opportunities that streaming and these other avenues of distribution are offering people today. And, you know, we would love to get into those playgrounds and play in them no matter what the title is. So clearly that's where he wants, as he sort of says in the beginning, keep peppering Disney to let them know how important Alita is, because now in this age of streaming, which Cameron's could be a big person, Rodriguez directing a Disney Plus epic 5-part whatever miniseries of Alita could be friggin' cool as hell. There is a very big fan base. The movie made it made a lot of money, way more money than people expected to. Yeah, 404 million worldwide, and most of that was overseas. So internationally, it was a massive success. It wasn't so much here in the States, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be later on. And as the star Rosa Salazar said, you know, obviously no one was really surprised that it didn't get greenlit right away. She sort of reminds us, yeah, I mean, they're at a crazy merger. People are gaining jobs. People are losing jobs. The whole Disney Fox acquisition is so involved. This isn't the right time for me to call Alan Horn and be like, hey, bro, I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but what about Alita 2? Clearly, she's right. But everybody has said they'd come back. Robert Rodriguez has said, "Oh yeah, I would love to come back and do that one. It was so fun working with Jim's great. I thought Rosa was incredible, and the effects were just amazing. To think they would even be better by then for the sequel because they just keep evolving. The guys at Weta are just at top of their game, and it just as a writing process, even if there isn't a sequel, I got to see how Jim crafts his movies and stories. He outlines out several pictures just to let you know what to include in the first one and what not to include and what's not necessary. There's so many mangas and so many places we can go that it would be pretty easy to come up with a second step." It is an interesting process of James Cameron to sort of admit that he doesn't just make a movie, he sort of figures out, well, save this for the next movie. That could be a detriment too. I think Dark Fate sort of proved that. Dark Fate was sort of him holding on to two other movies where he should have just put it all out there and made sure the new characters and the new story was worthy instead of just, I think it was a little bit of a Force Awakens syndrome of, oh, let's bring back the old characters, but not really. And let's introduce these new characters that we don't really need or care that much about because they're just recycled versions of the original characters. It's a trend we're seeing now more and more often. It's starting to happen on the new HBO Watchmen show, which I want to dive into and do a full review as it's all done because I think that show's getting better and better, actually. A lot of people are giving it a rough bum rap just because of the pilots or thinking it's too political. It's spinning a very complicated yarn that's paying off, and it's getting better and better. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm a fan, and I want to see if it actually pays off by the end, which it could, and then I think more people will watch it. But it's a similar version of it starts introducing these new characters, and now Watchmen characters are becoming more prominent involved in the story. So the comic nerds are going to be more inclined to like the second half of the show versus the first half, but the first half now pays off and everything sort of has a purpose. And so I think, that's the problem you have in building the universe, right? And so Cameron's right. You want to make sure you have a story if you're, especially in this age of franchises and Disney buying such big, complicated movies. The budget of a movie like this is not cheap. It's not an independent film in any means. So you know how to make sure you can pitch it as a big, successful franchise is what the studios are, oh, we want that bad. So I understand why Cameron does it. He is one of very few people that can sort of say, yeah, we're saving that for movie 2. And you can believe, oh, cool. Well, if Cameron's saying that, then there'll be a movie 2. But I think Terminator Dark Fate shows Cameron's got to be careful. And he's doing it with Avatar, 4 Avatars. You got to be careful not to hold on to too much good because you can't guarantee a hit right out the gate, right? He just proved it there. Cameron was very involved in Dark Fate, and Tim Miller and him are fighting, but still, it was not a success by any means. And I think Rodriguez, all the reports I read, followed Cameron's directions to a T. Like Rodriguez was like, "What else you got? What else you got? Let me hear it all." Whereas Tim Miller was like, "Cool, thanks, James. I love it, but I want to try this way." And there was some creative conflict, which is normal. But this one I think was better because he did there was a vision and Rodriguez saw through that vision versus trying to compete with that vision, which is what I think the problem with Terminator Dark Fate was. Cameron is a great visionary and Rodriguez was a great storyteller to sort of give that vision out there. I remember speaking with Rodriguez. He actually produced a TV version of Man at Arms, a show I did where we build swords. We did a version on El Rey, and I got to go to set. It was really awesome to meet him. And I remember when we met him, he's like, yeah, I have all these sets in my backyard. He literally built them out in Texas. And he's like, so cool. I can't wait to show people. And it's such an awesome movie. Cameron's so involved. And you could just tell he was like a kid at the toy store. Like he was just loving every minute of every part of what he was doing. He was already hyping it up as best as he could without revealing much, but he was so excited about the property and it just showed. I think it showed on screen. He did a really good job adapting that project, and I think everyone involved was interested. He's clearly coming back, as he said, but so is star Rosa Salazar. She had a quote as well. She would love to return for the sequels. She said, yeah, of course, I would love to do that, of course, but I will say this. I love this trend of being able to do something live action and being animated after the fact. I like having a way to completely escape my physical form in a way. I use it, obviously, it's my instrument, but I like leaving this body behind and creating something completely new that exists in another dimension, that is wholly her own person, her own creation. I want to do more of that, whether it's another Alita, whether it's 17 more seasons of Undone, which I hope happens. Look, if my career could just be Alita and Undone, I'd love that. So she's that's the series on Amazon Prime where it's sort of animated as well. So look, she knows. She's like, I'm going to join this sort of CGI animated trend and become a star there. She should. I mean, look at Andy Serkis. Dude's blown up since that. He sort of became the pioneer of the Gollum technology back then. If Rosa can become the person who's known for like sort of awesome motion cap animation style acting, perfect road. She gets it. Run down that road and get as many as you can. She's gonna be forever between those shows, specifically this one. She's now a nerd icon. She'll be able to go to conventions the rest of her life. So she's now Alita. Whether it was massively successful or not, fans are going to want to meet her and support her as she continues. So, look, it's not a lot of big news here. These quotes from Jon Landau clearly are a little bit obvious, but I think we should take them seriously. We're going to see how Avatar 2 does in 2 years. Sadly, it's not this winter; it's next winter. And after that, if that one does really well, he's going to have to figure out what he does next. And if it does really well, they're going to want to be like, all right, Cameron, you clearly, what else did we miss? Something must have gone. This could be the thing that pops up next. This is what Disney Plus could use. Netflix could use this. HBO Max could use this. This is a immensely cool world that I don't think enough people saw or gave credit to. And I think when they do, they're pleasantly surprised. This was way better than Captain Marvel. It just was. She was a more interesting character. It was a cooler world. It wasn't like forced into all these other new weird Easter eggs. And they sort of slowly built out the world that you're like, oh my gosh, I want to see that next chapter. It was really cool. So I think this movie has the fandom behind it, would reunite people to come back and watch this one and build a cool new show, hopefully with a lot of the technology and sets that are already built, to sort of take it to another level at a streaming platform. Makes a lot of sense. I do think Netflix or even Hulu is probably the better place, sadly. I don't know. Disney Plus has all the Marvel movies, right? And it's Star Wars. This is a PG-13 sci-fi action movie, just like them. There's no reason it couldn't be there. And in fact, I would argue it should be there. It'd be nice to have a little bit of, it feels a little darker in tone. And so I think Disney Plus could benefit something that's not strictly Star Wars or Disney. They need way more content. It's just, there's not enough on Disney Plus. Am I crazy? Alita as a miniseries, high budget miniseries, like they're doing with Mandalorian. That's the kind of stuff that's going to surprise people and be like, oh, cool. The non-Disney people who are like, yes, I love Alita. Oh, crap. I got to watch this. It's on Disney Plus. Fine. That's how they start really becoming a game changer and becoming past just the mouse and creating cool new brands that they can sort of grow and promote. So that's what I hope we do. I think we should take Landau's advice. Let's keep Pipper and Disney. That's what I'm trying to do here. Disney Plus. Let's all tag them. Disney Plus. We want the Alita Battle Angel sequel series. Let's see it. I'd love it in theaters, but if you can't justify a theater experience, let's take those all those international audience members. Let's get that going and get the word spread that we want more Alita, and we'll take it if it has to be on Disney Plus. What do you say? What's your thought? What's the best way to get Alita back in the world? Leave your comments down below or hit me up on social media. I got lots more videos coming this week and more Nerd Wars Tuesday and Thursday, 9 p.m. live. Be sure to join and subscribe. If you join, you get a lot more cool content that I'll be promoting here. So thanks so much for your support. Have an awesome week, and we'll be back with more content soon. Bye, everybody.